I'm looking at place value. Now, place value, understanding the value of numbers, we can deliver it, we can present it in a variety of ways. And we need to let children know that, you know, the hands on their fingers, they can use as a counting tool, lollipop sticks, buttons, human beings themselves. We've got the rulers. So there are different manipulatives and different resources that you can be using. One of my most famous and favorite resources and manipulatives is the Deans, D-I-E-N-E-S, but we call it the base 10. And I've just seen Janine put her thumb up because it is such a versatile and it's such an amazing resource. Just to remind everyone, when we're talking and when we're using the base 10, the hundreds, the ones on the left here are called the flats, the tens, the ones in the middle are called the rods, and the ones are called the ones. We don't use the word units in the classroom anymore. We use the word ones, and we've got the rods, which are tens, and then we've got the flats, which are hundreds. And then if you want to sort of carry on, we've got the cube, which is worth 1,000. When you're working with, when we're working with our children, if I said to a child the other day, make me 147, they did have 7 ones, they did have 4 tens, and they had 100, but they did not present it in the order that I've presented it on this slide. We have to encourage our children to have the hundreds on the left, the tens in the middle, and the ones on the right, because that's how we read the number 100 or 233. So if a child does give you an answer when they've got the ones, because some children will put the ones on top of the hundreds because they want to build a tower, that's fine. That's fine. But what I'll then say to the child, read me what your number says. And when they start to read it and they see that the way they presented it is not the way that it is read, they will self-diagnose and they will correct themselves. Also, when you're working with when we're working with our children and they are presenting their tens and their ones, there must be a finger space gap in between each of the manipulatives. There must be a finger space gap in between. So I've got 3 tens here. In between the tens, there's a finger space gap. And the way that the ones have been presented, we encourage our children to present them in groups of 2. So that helps them with their 2 times table. So if I'm going to have 6 ones, I'm going to have 2, 2, and 2, 2 on top of each other. So when they are counting, they can say to me, Mr. Anu, Mr. Numbervator, I've got 232, 246, or in this case, 233. So when Dean's was rolled out, that was what was in the training manual. And I remember people saying that there has to be a finger space so that children can actually read a lot more easier and a lot more clearly what they are actually making. Right, let's just imagine we have got 233, and I'm going to ask you in a separate hand to collect 9 more ones. So you've got 233 at the moment, and I'm going to ask you to collect 9 ones, and then can you add those 9 ones onto the 233? So you're going to add the 9 ones onto the 233. Would anyone like to tell me how you might go about getting the answer and reading the answer? James, good evening, James.
Hiya.
Hi.
Let's see if I get this right. So what I'd have encouraged them to do is, first of all, you put them down so you've got 11 ones. Or 12. Right. You say 8 or 9?
Well, 8's fine. 8 is fine, right. Yeah.
Okay, so you add 8, so you get 11. And then group 10 of them together.
Correct,
show
yes.
It's the same as one of the 10s.
Right.
And then say, can we swap it for one of the 10s? And once they agree that that's fair enough because it's exactly the same and they can count them.
Yes.
Then you add it to the 10s column.
Correct, perfect. James, that's lovely. And James, just to add to what you said, I would also use the language exchange because what we teach our children is that can you exchange 10 ones for 1 10, and then they start to regroup. So the words exchange and regroup, that's the terminology that the children will be familiar with. And then as they move on, once they can exchange from the ones to the tens, then can they start to exchange from the tens to the hundreds?